Today I am going to discuss about Scribus. Scribus is actually an open source desktop publishing software. This comes free. You need not pay anything for using Scribus. And today we will discuss how we are going to install Scribus in our Windows PC. Scribus is available for Windows, Mac and Linux operating system. So before installing Scribus, you need to install one other software that is called Script. Script is it is not a software, it is actually a library. So you need to download Script from the Script website, which is shown here. You got to go to ghostscript.com and you need to download the appropriate version for your operating system. It can be Windows 32-bit, Windows 64-bit. You can use it on a Linux. So these are the versions of Script which is available. Why exactly you need Script to make use of Scibus? Actually, for Scibus to render PDF files, it needs Script. So without Script, Scibus will not be able to generate PDF documents. But of course, Scibus will be able to work without Script. But for it to render PDF documents, it needs Script. So the first thing we do is we need to install Script. So here this tutorial is going to discuss on how Script will be installed for Windows. First thing you need to do is you need to decide or find out which Windows operating system you are using. So it can be a Windows 10 64-bit or Windows 8 64-bit or Windows 7, 8 or 10 32-bit. So that knowledge is essential before you can download and install the appropriate version of Script in your computer. So you find out from the control panel, go to the system and about. It will tell you what type of Windows operating system you are running, and then you download that version, appropriate version. It can be a 64-bit or can be a 32-bit. As soon as the download is completed, you double click the executable file, the Script file will be installed. But you won't be able to see anything on the desktop or anything in the application folder for you to double click and run the application. But after running Script, if you install Scibus, it will identify the installation of Script and modify its settings appropriately. So now let us, after installation of Script, we need to install Scibus. So let us choose a stable branch. This current stable branch happens to be 1.48. So again we need to choose whether you are running a 32-bit operating system or a 64-bit operating system. So here, if you are using a 64-bit operating system, you choose the 64-bit installer. If you are using a 32-bit operating system, you use a 32-bit installer. On choosing the appropriate version of Scibus, you need to decide which whether it's going to be a 32-bit installation or a 64-bit file. So if you are running a 64-bit Windows, you choose the 64-bit, or if you're running a 32-bit Windows, you choose the 32-bit. As soon as the file is downloaded, you double click on the installer and follow the on-screen instructions to install Scibus. So as soon as the Scibus completes its installation, a icon indicating the Scibus or a pen nib will be found inside on your desktop. Something like this. This is the Scibus icon. Double click on the icon to start the software. So as soon as the Scibus starts, it will show you a new document folder. So this is actually the new document window. If you don't want this window, you can always say don't show this dialog again and click OK. The next time you double click, this window won't be seen. So for a beginner, I will advise you all to study a little bit the features given out in this window. So initially, this window by default it shows the new document button enabled. So on the new document window, you got to choose the layout. The layout can be a single page. You use single page if you want to type a letter, if you want to type out a certificate, or if you want to type out a curriculum with a or something like that, where the entire substance will be confined to a single page. And if you are interested in authoring a book using Scribus, you can always use the double-sided feature, double-sided layout. This is actually a layout. So for a book, you choose double-sided layout. For a newsletter, you choose either a 3-4 layout or a 4-4 layout. So if you want to create a newsletter using Scribus, you can choose a 3-4 layout or a 4-4 layout. Now here, the size of the paper. Next comes the size of the paper. So by default, it is set to A4. So by clicking at the down arrow, you will be able to see the various paper sizes which the software supports. But still, you can click a custom and give out the size. If you click the custom, you will be able to give out the size of the paper. Manually, you will be able to set the dimensions of the paper. Next comes the orientation. Supposing if you normally for a book or a certificate or a newsletter, you can use a portrait orientation. But if you are creating a atlas where there are a number of images stuck to the pages, so you choose landscape as a layout. So if you choose A4, you will be seeing the width and the height are automatically adjusted here. And here the number of pages, you can decide on the number of pages beforehand. The number of pages you are going to use in your book or a manuscript, you can decide beforehand by you can enter the number here, or you keep increasing the value of the number of pages by clicking at the up arrow, or reduce it by clicking at the down arrow. And the first page which is going to be printed will always be the right page. So the first page will be the right page. When you open a book, if you are going to prepare a manuscript or book using it, the first page, printed page will be the right page. You choose the right page as the first page. The number of pages you choose according to your requirement. And then default unit, here the measurement which is being carried out inside the software. These are all the possible measurements, values, default units you can make use of. It can be in points. Printers usually indicate their measurements in points. If you're comfortable with points, use points, or you can choose millimeters, you can choose centimeters, you can choose inches. So these are all the probable default units you can choose. So you can set the default unit for your new document by clicking at this. Then there is something called automatic text frame. Supposing you enable this automatic text frame, what happens is, here this is not your Scribus is not like a word processor. Word processor, you keep typing. What happens is, at the moment end of the page is reached, subsequently your typed letters fall and go through the next page. Here in all desktop publishing software, this is not possible. So you need to create text box for each and every page before you can start putting the typed content, or before you can start typing on it. So as soon as you reach the end of the page, supposing you copy and paste a document inside your Scribus, so at the end, if the end of the page is reached, what happens is, by default your Scribus will not create a new page. So what you can do is, by enabling this automatic text frames, you tell Scribus that if the page gets filled up with letters, you create a new page and add a text frame and move the excess text to the subsequent pages. So by enabling this box, you will be enabling the automatic creation of new text frames and new pages. and here the columns. So in textbooks, naturally you will see a 2-column textbook or a 3-column textbook. You can choose a number of columns you would like to have in your textbook. So the typed material will be seen on either side of the page. So there will be a central gutter, central white space. On either side of the white space, the typed letters and images will be seen. So that is a column. So you can choose a 2-column layout or a 3-column layout as per your design. And then gap is actually the number of points or number of points of white space which is available between the pages. So between page 1 and page 2, so there should be some white space available. So by default it gives out 11 point gap, but this has got nothing to do with the printer settings. So whatever may be the gap, but printing turns out to be normal, and it will have a good looking page provided you have a good looking layout. So again, here these are all the margins: inside margin, outside margin, top margin, white margin. These are all the white space, amount of white space which you allow above the page, below the page, to the left of the page and to the right of the page. So these are all the margins which you allow. This can be increased or this can be decreased as per your design. So you see small 2 links here. So these 2 links are separated from one another now. So if these links are separated, you can increase the inside margin, see, to 41, 42. The other stays the same. So we will go to the default, and then now you click in the center space between the link join together. So since these, as soon as the links join together, now if I attempt to increase the inside margin, see what happens. Simultaneously, when I increase the inside margin, simultaneously the outside margin, top margin and the bottom margin also increases. So you can simultaneously, if you prefer to increase the margins, amount of space, amount of margins you give, you just bring these linked together by clicking on it. Now we'll reduce it to 40. So now by just keeping the link apart, you can increase the white space preferentially. You can give more margins, say if you want to give more margins to the top, give more margins to the top. If you want to reduce the margin at the bottom, you can reduce the margin. So it gives lot of scope for you to create a good layout. And then there is something called bleeds. Here, this is a unique aspect. When you want to get your work printed, you need to, what happens is, whenever a printer prints a book, the ink crosses over and occupies some amount of white space. So for that to happen, for that to seamlessly occur, we need to provide bleed. So normally we give a 3-point bleed on all sides for the ink to flow. So here, since the link are together, if I am going to increase the bleed by 3 points, it shows that 3 points is given to all the inside, outside, top, bottom, all the margins get the 3-point increase. If I want to increase the bleed only to the outside margin, I delink it and increase it like this. If I click here, it gets together. Whatever change I make on one side, it will be carried out on all the other margins also. So the bleed is one thing. By default, you give a 3-point bleed on all sides. And then here the next tab happens to be new from the template. Scribus actually gives you a few templates. It is not an exhaustive one. Of course, you can just use these templates to get an idea of how things work. So books, if you want to create a book, this is actually a template. If you preview, it will show you how the template works. It has a brochure. You can click the brochure. It gets on your screen. You can edit. So similarly, you can use these templates to create your. So just you select it and start editing like this. So I'm just trying to edit. So similarly, you can edit the entire document and you create a brochure. So today I request all of you to try out these templates. First you do a installation of Scribus, and then on the document window see all these settings, ensure that you get familiar with the settings, and then pick out a template and try to create a newsletter or a brochure. Thank you so much.